We're going to talk today.
All right.
My background is radio. I worked at Power 106 in Los Angeles. I actually met James Brown a couple of times.
Okay.
Did a couple of shows with him through the radio station. He met my mom in front of Roscoe's at Sunset and Gower.
On Sunset. Okay.
And my mom didn't believe. She's like, "You don't know James Brown?" I said, "I do." He pulled it. Well, this limo pulled up. He got out, and she goes, "That's James Brown." I said, "I know him." And so we walked up. I said, "My mom doesn't."
You met James Brown at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that was one of the places. So watching your performance of the movie last night brought back a lot. So props to you.
Thank you, man.
You did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
I looked at you on the screen. I was like, he's getting it. He got it. How difficult is it? I mean, this is your second time to play a, high-profile, real-life person. What kind of pressure is that?
First of all, it's always pressure no matter what it is. But yeah, I mean, you have to think about, what people are going to say about it at first, and then you just put all that out of your head and go with, because, a lot of times people have the things that they've projected onto the person. Like, most people have not actually met James Brown like you did. And so you try to get to know the person. That's all it is, like in a case where the person's not alive, you watch them as much as you can, watch as much footage as you can, and you read as much as you can about them and find people that know them, and you try to see how that all fits together inside of you, but you don't try to do it all at once, you break it up. And but every once in a while, what people think creeps in a different way than it normally does when it's a fantasy character.
Dance moves. Man, you can dance, and you dance in this movie. And you sing, and you do it all.
Thank you, man.
Did you do any training for that, or?
I had an amazing choreographer, Akman Jones. We call him AJ, who just, he just was a drill sergeant and was really tough. And he stayed on me. Like, one day he'd be like, "You got it." And then I come in, I do what I was doing the day before, and he'd be like, "Nope, that's not it." And it's like, okay, it's a different level of it. So he just kept, raising the bar each day.
What did you learn about James Brown that you didn't already know? Did you learn a lot?
I think all the stuff about, him pushing the limits of the music business and being an innovator as an artist and as a business person, that I didn't know. I didn't know anything about that. And, I knew somewhat, how his music affected things socially and politically, but not to the extent that I do now.
Final question, your favorite James Brown song?
I don't have a favorite song because I think I know too many of them now, and I've been, performing them and being exposed to them. It's way too many, so it changes all the time. My favorite song today is "Lost Someone."
We did the interviews. Do you remember that story?
I do. Can you give us your name and outlet, please?
Sure. Dave Morales, Houston, Texas, Fox TV.
Thanks, go ahead.
Pause. They get on me about that because I don't pause. But I paused. Again. Gentlemen, good to see you again.
Good to see you, man.
Are you excited? This is a huge film. Does it feel good right now, this moment?
This moment right here with
Well,
you? Very.
stop it.
I feel as good as I felt all day. Now you're here.
I know you're a smart ass. No, but I mean, what I meant was like, this is such a hit. I mean, this is huge.
Yeah, well, we hope so.
Yeah, we'll hope when you go back and
I will tell you the reaction.
present it that way.
Trust me. Last night I'm seeing it with a bunch of critics, and they're snobs, not me. And they're walking out of the movie, and they're all going, "I want to see it again."
Oh, really? That's great.
Yes, that good. It was just amazing. When you guys suit up, and you guys get into character, tell me that feeling.
We were just discussing
that, right? I think part of, to answer it a different way, it becomes part of your ritual each day. Like, I think when you play any role, as an actor, there are certain things similar to an athlete. You put on your laces a certain way. You tie your laces a certain way. You eat at a certain time. So I have routines, and I think the suit becomes part of that thing. You start to get in the mold and the breath of the character when you put it on. So it helps you to get in that place that you need to be in.
Let's talk about the airport scene. That's just incredible. What was it like to actually be there when all this is going on?
Sweaty.
It was hot. It was hot, as in like this is a cool moment.
And it was
a hot moment.
just hot.
It was hot.
Yeah.
Were there moments that you guys like pinched yourselves and you're actually, filming this thing on set and going, this is really happening?
When we got to the airport scene, I had shot a scene at the end of the movie, which I won't say specifically, and then this was my next scene. So it was the first time I was around everyone, and so you look around, you're like, oh, that's Chris, and you've met these people, but you're actually performing with them right now. That's Robert Downey, that's Scarlett, that's Paul. And it's, to me, that's the fun part is who you're working with, and actually being in the number is fun.
Good to see you again, my friend.
Yes.
And I will start off by saying, as I just told your director, without hesitation, I will tell you, this is one of the best films of 2017, so congratulations to you.
Thank you, man.
I mean, I saw it with my mom. It was just her and I in the theater, in anticipation for these interviews, and we both looked at each other and just said, wow. I'm curious, what drew you to this role?
Initially, the word Thurgood Marshall repelled me, just because he was a real person. I was intrigued by the stature of the man, and I knew some of the history and what he'd done, but I didn't want to play a real person. I think what it was several factors. It was Reginald Hudlin. I had, talked to him several times, just before we started talking about this film. I wanted to work with him. The script was given to me. My agent loved Paula Wagner, one of the producers, and it was like, you should work with her on something. And so when I read it, it sort of changed my mind about, it didn't completely change my mind, but I didn't feel like this was a biopic. I felt like it was it was the marshal coming into town to implement justice. It was, a whodunit. It was a buddy. It was a buddy attorney movie. Instead of it feeling like a biopic, and it was just a sort of icing on the cake that this guy was Thurgood Marshall, and his character came through in a way that didn't feel like it was that you were trying to tell us history. And I think there were a few moments where it did feel like history, and we scaled those back and fixed some issues. And I was like, this is something I want to do.
I'm glad you brought that up, because it's not a birth to death type biopic. This is a part of his life a lot of people don't know about, and which I thought was fascinating. Really started him as a solid attorney, and such a vital case for him.
Yeah, if this had been a story about Brown versus Board of Education, if this had been about him becoming the Lyndon Johnson, and him becoming the first African American Supreme Court justice, I wouldn't have wanted to do it. It was a story you didn't know. You don't know the outcome of the case. It's very clear at the beginning of the film that he does lose cases, and so it's like, you can watch this film and not know how it's going to end up, and that's what you want. You want there to be a sense of a suspense.
You've played some iconic figures, and you and I have talked, in some of the other films that you've done. I want to know, is there pressure to play real people?
Absolutely, yeah. I felt it last night because the Marshall family showed up at the screening, and I felt it before. In each case, is a different feeling. Before I took on the role, I was like, I don't look like him. He's a real person again. I don't want to go through, I love the Brown family. I love the Jackie Robinson's family, but let me just do something where I don't have to go through all of that this time. And I got a letter from John Marshall saying he wanted me to play. This is Thurgood Marshall's son. That they wanted me to play the role. So I was like, well, they know what I look like. They know what is it about me that they feel like is right for this. And so that pressure, you know, whether they want you to do it or they don't want you to do it, you're gonna feel it. If they want me to do it now, I feel even more pressure. And then you're in the theater with them, and they're watching the film, and you're like, okay, I hope they like it. I hope you know. You don't have to feel that if you're playing something that's fictional. You know, it's not a cold hard stamp on that is not right. You know. So obviously there is a difference between the two, between playing a fictional character and a non-fictional one.
Morning.
Good morning.
It's great to see you both again. Congratulations. I really enjoyed this, and I'm going to tell you what I really, really liked about this was the pacing, the fast pace of it, and the authenticity of your characters. As I was researching, I did learn that you both trained with officers to get ready for this. So tell me about that.
You want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, we worked with homicide detectives who had retired. They were in New York. That's where I started my work. They took us to learn how to fire weapons, how to reload, how to move tactically. Chadwick and I learned how to clear rooms together, how to work as partners, which is a real dance. It's really complicated, and you have to. Also, he's much taller than me, so I was trying to figure out how I could fit in. But we got it down, and it was like that kind of. Those skills that you get to learn on movies, that's the most exciting thing. And hanging out with real detectives who have the best stories, and they were on set making sure that we did everything right.
And I think you also kind of appreciate what these guys do for a living. You know, you're portraying a story in an incredible way. Those guys put themselves on the line every single day. So does it give you a little bit more of a respect?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you have to. It makes you because they're doing it for real. They, you know, they put their lives in danger for real. It's real gunfire that's coming back at them. It's really, you know, them sort of spending time away from their families and, you know, putting their lives on the line. You have to approach it from a place of humility. You know what I'm saying? You have no choice but to do it. And it's always better to ask questions than to assume you know something. And I always like to have somebody that is a consultant on set that knows what they're doing. And they were quick to tell us anytime we didn't live up to something that was procedure or standard, and I would even say even emotionally, like, you know, when you kill someone or when you fire your weapon, there were times when, as an actor, I wasn't expecting feedback from them, and they would come over and say, "That's exactly what happened to me when, you know, this incident happened," and they tell you a story, and it adds to the next take. So all of that is humbling, you know what I'm saying, and it's good to be in that space.
And I know you're a producer on this as well, so thanks for this, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good work, you two.
Thanks.
Love it, man. Great to see
All
you.
right, good to see you.
All right.